Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 245 podcast, which is the number of days it has been since we have recorded a podcast.
Oh, it's been too long.
It's like 8 months.
That's about 8 months. We really backed up our recordings. We had just them logged, ready to go for a long
we had
time.
8 months of podcast banked.
No, but actually, what was the last one we recorded? It was
This is the one
Josh's
in
house?
Josh's basement, which was like
it was one that came out 2 weeks ago. It was one that came out 2 weeks ago.
So it was like 16 days ago that we recorded it.
Dang.
Probably.
No, it was 245 days ago.
Oh, that's right.
Wait.
That's right.
Do you guys hear that female voice that's reacting to things that we're
I
saying?
thought that was the Holy Spirit.
I thought so too. And then I looked
Guys,
around our room.
It's just my new impersonation I've been learning over the break.
That'd be wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you did that and watched Survivor and gamed with Josh.
Yep.
That's what you did over
I should have
break.
gamed with Josh. That sounds fun.
Yeah, that's not actually the Holy Spirit.
I wish.
What a great
What
intro.
a shame.
She's not actually the Holy Spirit.
But
She's Tessana Krueger.
Woo. Hi, guys.
She's really excited to be here.
I'm very nervous, but also excited at the same time.
Nervy.
Nervy.
you'll get over it.
Not nervous.
You'll get over it. Just wait.
So
It goes downhill from here.
I've known Tessana for since 9th grade.
Yeah, it's
They've
been
known
a while.
Mitch. You known her? Wait, are you
Second.
kindergartner or?
I was a second grader.
No, second.
So
Wow.
Missed
Okay.
a couple of years there.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
yeah.
So
Long
like
time.
semi-OG.
Semi-OG.
Mitch, what was Tessana like in second grade?
I can't even remember.
I was really weird, I feel like.
Really?
That's
Yeah.
probably
That's
accurate.
so...
Because I was homeschooled.
Oh,
So I
that
came
explains a lot.
in being homeschooled, and I remember this was also during a period of my life where my mom was sick, so I was like the one dressing myself, and I would come in with like layers upon layers of clothes, and I remember specifically my sister Ava like telling my dad at the dinner table like, she dresses like a hobo, like you need to tell her to like put on normal clothes, and I was like, I'm just a kid, I don't know how to do this. But yeah, I was kind of an awkward little kid. But
I'm just a kid.
and life is a nightmare. Yeah. Anyway,
Wow.
I don't know. It was a long time ago, though.
Well, I was a homeschooler, so I understand.
Homeschool energy. That's what I
Mike
always
was
tell
way
my-
weird.
You always told me in high school I had homeschool energy,
Yeah.
which would make
He
sense.
does.
He
He does.
Yeah.
It's great, though.
Hopefully, maybe it's faded out a little bit. Since
No.
No.
not at all.
I think
No.
once you have it, you can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So we went to high school with Tessana and earlier school. A few
We
of
were in the
them.
same advisory.
We were in the same
Yes.
advisory.
That's
Only
wild.
only advisory during our time where our class stayed the same all 4 years.
Totally.
Really?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it was me. It was
like
the
our
three of us.
grade level.
Like our grade. So it was,
in our advisory.
it was me and then you, Joey, and then Tessana and then Olivia.
and the
Yes.
four of us were the only
Yes.
ones.
The entire 4 years. Every
How
other
do you do it?
advisory either gained or lost
an
people
advisory.
in our grade
Yep.
throughout the 4 years.
I didn't know we had that many people switch.
Well, like for example,
Like Evan left.
Evan
Just
Evan
left.
joined sophomore year to Josh's advisory and then left because he was in Veenstra advisory freshman year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he moved to the Wheeler advisory
Ooh.
and then he left.
So that messed it up twice.
Weeberdink lost Sam and
After junior
after
year.
junior year
But gains Sophie.
and gained Sophie
Yeah.
a sophomore year.
Yeah.
Wait, did we go from 5 advisories to 4
Yeah.
advisories?
We did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How did I not? Oh,
But-
probably because it didn't affect us.
No, it
No.
didn't really affect
Because
us.
no one was
Didn't
added to
clock it.
ours.
Oh, really?
Besides them leaving the second floor, and then we became the only advisory on the second floor, and we
Yeah,
were like,
true.
yeah.
True.
Oh.
and then we
kinda
got
What was that room? 206?
206.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
206.
I went and looked at it yesterday because I was at Avail yesterday again and just brought back so many memories. They have a wasp kill count on the whiteboard.
Oh, really?
Dang.
I was like, is that the one from when we
Nice.
were seniors and they never erased it? I doubt it. But it looked pretty much the same. There's like a giant TV in there now.
Really? Man, they're so high tech now that we left.
Dang.
Yeah, I was there yesterday looking around upstairs. Like a lot of the tables in the rooms are different and the chairs, they changed all those. Also, all the students have Mac
I know.
MacBook Airs now.
Yeah.
It's the same computer I have, the same model.
It's crazy.
The
Which is
M1.
insane.
Why didn't we
M1.
get that? We had the crappy Chromebooks that died all the time and broke.
I liked the Chromebooks.
No, you
I don't
didn't.
think they were
They
that
had,
bad.
they had personality.
You just couldn't play Minecraft on
That's
them.
true. You
Wait,
couldn't do hardly anything.
Didn't someone from our high school figure out how to remote desktop? It was playing Minecraft on a Chromebook.
Was that Leaf browser? Was that through Leaf browser?
it
Do you
might have
guys
been.
remember Leaf browser?
Leaf browser.
Yeah.
I feel like I
Nothing
remember
but
that,
restrictions.
Joey. I don't remember who that was.
Or was that?
It was
I think
Ilya
Ethan
who
would do that,
introduced
a lot. And
Really?
even I did that. Like,
Oh, was
just
you?
play games on my
yeah.
PC at home.
Yeah, I remember you doing that now.
In like study hall, I would remote desktop to my computer at home.
Oh,
and
in
then
study
start
hall.
gaming.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely in study hall.
I think I remember you doing it during government.
With
Probably.
Mr. Keene? Wait,
No, with
who taught us
Mrs.
government?
No, that's just
Oh,
as math.
Because I was talking to Mrs. Mass yesterday about the government class because she was preparing some stuff, and we were talking about our constitutional
Oh, yeah.
convention.
Remember
Oh
when
my gosh, that
Mr.
was so
Scott
good.
came in and was like, Christina, I challenge you to a duel or something like that?
No,
that was so
wild.
epic.
And I found the video. I have a video of that.
Oh, really?
That duel and my camera roll, and we were talking about it. How and we were trying to remember who everyone was. So I was George Washington, and then we remembered Ethan was Benjamin Franklin.
You know-
Sophie was James Madison.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I remember.
I remember, I wasn't that important, but I remember getting into a heated debate with Tessana
Oh man, we
about
always did that.
stopping Hitler if he became president. Because I did a speech. I did a pro-slavery speech, which was wild.
Wow.
To be fair,
Joey,
Hey,
what were you thinking?
For the record, guys, this was for an assignment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Joey's
With
not
real.
I am
pro-slavery.
very, very anti-slavery, but my character,
He's changed
I'm
his
really
ways.
just an actor at heart.
He is a theater kid.
I had to be pro-slavery.
Who is your person?
It was like Charles something.
Dang.
I think he was from South Carolina.
Charles Woodson.
Carolina.
But then my other speech was on like term length, like how many years.
Oh yeah.
And I think I was arguing for 4 and Tessana was pushing for like
Yes.
No,
now
I think I was
remember
arguing for
this.
6. I think I was
think you were
arguing for
6.
6, which isn't that bad. But everyone was like, okay, if Hitler became president, how would you stop it? I'm like, you would impeach him. That's how it works. Like, that's what we would do. And no one could comprehend that. And I remember it was like, I was assigned the position, right? So I don't really have
Yeah.
to care that much. I was so fired up because Tessana was making me so angry because she kept being like, if Hitler became president, how would you stop him? I'm like, we impeach him. That's what would happen. But yeah, that was wild.
But my point was that it's a dictatorship. It would be so easy for it to turn sour. Like if you give that person all that power and then they can
They don't
implement
have-
all these
never mind, I'm not
different
getting to
things.
get into this debate.
Who's your character, Tessana?
I have no idea. I do not remember the name. It was also a less important character. I was like Joey, so yeah.
Whoa.
He was less-
wow.
he was less
Sorry.
important
Less
like Joey.
important.
True. I mean, we weren't George Washington.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
pretty important.
Though, for the record, I feel like I had one of the easiest jobs because I didn't have to write any of the debates or debate. All I had to do was give an intro speech, which was basically like a summary
Yeah.
of what happened last time.
Yeah.
And then I have to like help write the Constitution at the end. So it was pretty easy, I think. Mitch, who are you?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I just remember there was one thing about my character that like had some like super like specific piece of information, and I don't
What?
it was like, you know, that like one other person, like they had slaves or something before,
Oh.
and now they're like against or something, but they still had slaves when they
Yeah.
were debating
Oh.
against. And so like
Yeah.
if they
The
say
hypocrisy.
like if they say something about slavery, I could like stand up in the middle of it and then just
Fascist.
call them out. So I could call them out and absolutely dunk on them and ruin their speech.
Yep.
That's
But-
wild.
So Mrs. Mass told me that, so she said, I mean, ours was chaotic because the whole convention is just chaotic in general.
Super
Yeah.
chaotic.
She says there is a more chaotic version that
I
really
can't
was
even.
purposely made more chaotic, where there's a group of people who are like a mob who can like yell at people,
Dude,
like yell at them and like call them names.
I was already
And like
doing that.
people
so.
people can like pretend to smoke weed and
Oh
drink
my
alcohol during the convention,
Hey yo.
Weed existed back
or
in
like
the,
some type of drugs or
like-
something.
I mean,
Wow.
it existed, but I didn't know that they would have used
I was like,
it.
If our class had that,
That would have been not good.
been-
Can you
yeah.
imagine, like, was
Sam was
Yeah,
down
was
some
Sam there?
moonshine.
No.
no, Sam had
No,
left,
he
left.
but he would.
could you imagine
taken
him being
advantage
able
of
to
that.
say like whatever he wanted, just
That
ruining
would be
people's life?
dangerous.
while pretending to smoke weed.
Yeah, well,
Oh my
pretending to smoke
gosh.
weed.
Guys, it's so
Sounds
funny.
It'd
wild.
probably be more accurate. There was no way. I think we all like think that like everything was very civil and stuff, but like going through that convention, like politics has always been a disaster,
Yeah,
like
for
since the
real.
very start of the country. So it would have been a lot more accurate,
Yeah.
a lot more fun.
What else did we do in high school that you have good memories of?
What else did we
Tessana, did you
do?
enjoy the canoe trip?
I had
Arkansas.
mixed feelings. So I will say that during the canoe trip, I had a very magical moment. I don't know if you guys know this story, but
I don't think I do.
No.
Caleb Walden, if you remember,
I do remember Caleb
he
Walden.
had a very large crush on me, and I had no idea. And we were sitting next to each other on the bus basically the whole time during Arkansas,
Dang.
which is
What?
many hours. That's like over maybe
It was
20 hours.
Well, it was 13 or 14 hours each way.
So yeah, 13 hours each way. We were basically next to each other. And there was this one time where we were sitting next to each other and he like put his hand over and I thought he was trying to like grab my water bottle to move it. And I was like, oh, like here you go. And he was like, oh no, I was trying to like hold your hand. And he like held my hand. So that was a
There's-
magical moment.
Wow.
Making
But
moves.
I will say that it was a very difficult trip because of how rainy it was.
Yes.
And just our morale was really low because people kept getting capsized. Thank God I was with Levi, who's very good at canoeing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I definitely would have capsized. But
I love how she says capsized.
but anyway,
Baptized.
I remember, and like two
Catholic
people
baptism.
lost their phones.
Yeah, who lost their phone?
Ben and Savannah, I believe, they both.
Ben Laverty? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I felt bad for the people who tipped over like multiple times. I feel like
Yeah.
Carolina, like her canoe tipped. They got it back up. They went down like 50 more feet and flipped again. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, meanwhile, I
funny.
was standing in the back of my
Really
canoe.
What were some of your IP presentations in high school?
Oh boy.
Oh man.
Because
Do
me
you
and Joey
remember the
experienced.
Native American one?
Yeah, I had
that
so
one
many
was
phases.
so good.
Really? Thank you.
So many
Thank
phases.
you.
Well, you had like music. It felt like a very
Yes.
professional presentation.
Yeah, I got really into IP. So I will say that I really, really have an appreciation for Native American history. So I did, I think, a couple IP presentations. One on the Dakota, one on just general Native people, I believe. It was something like that. But I put so much time and effort, and what Joey's talking about is I played music as I was talking just to make it
Oh, yeah.
more professional and interesting.
Give that
Vibey.
ambiance.
The vibes. Yeah. So anyway, and then I also did an IP presentation that was on activism my freshman year, and it was one of the most heated presentations I think I ever had because I did part of my presentation was on a gay activist who I didn't even at that point really agree with it, but Mr. V, he always likes to stir the pot, so he's like, Tessana, like you could do this activist, I believe.
Mr. V, classic.
And I remember that Josiah Roosh was in that class.
Oh, boy.
And
Yeah.
so he raised his hand in the middle of my presentation and was like basically trying to have a debate with me about, I don't know if it was gay marriage or something to do with gay rights. And I was like, I'm literally just presenting on this activist. Like, this has nothing to do with gay marriage. And he was just starting this debate. And I was like, I'm a freshman. But I was staying cool and vibing. But yeah, it was kind of an interesting presentation.
I was going to ask you, Tessana, what are you doing right now for schooling? And you want to talk about like how
Yes.
you decided what you wanted to do
Yes.
and what your experience has been like so
Yes.
far.
So, surprise, surprise, I decided to go into education. So, I'm studying to become a high school English teacher. And I originally started out as a music major, but I quickly realized that I wouldn't really want to do music as a job. I am just passionate about literature and also passionate about kids. So right now I'm in my junior year going into my spring semester, and the last semester it was a lot of developing skills in the teaching field. So I was at a school, shout out United Christian Academy.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to beat you in basketball this year.
And
It's gonna happen.
I was able to work with mostly 9th and 10th grade students, some juniors and seniors, and it was a really fun experience. And I would say if you're going into teaching, know that it's a difficult field, but also don't get discouraged by all of the people that are saying like, oh, like teaching is horrible, you're going to be burned out, because it's honestly a perspective thing, and the kids are going to give you so much energy. So, yeah.
My cousin goes to United Christian Academy.
It's a sick school, and I'm not going to lie, I would totally send my kids there over Avail. Oops. Sorry, it's just true.
Wow.
Oops.
I
This is a
know.
Pro Avail podcast.
Okay, no,
what the
super
heck are you
pro
saying?
Avail. Super
We're
pro Avail.
sponsored by them, and they're paying us to say that.
Yeah.
I love Avail, and I'm so thankful for my experience, but United is pretty cool.
Yeah. No, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
What was I going to ask you?
Do you like that noise?
You didn't write your questions down?
Joey.
No, I had a follow-up, because
you-
that's what a
It's
good
okay, Yoey.
interviewer does.
Active listening.
Active
Oh,
listening.
yes. So, Tessana, what is your hope for like a career after college? Oh, and where are you going to college? I don't think you said
yeah.
that. Where are you going to college?
Yes, I go to North Central University. Go Rams. Actually, we have a
Rams.
very terrible sports program there, but still,
Yeah,
go
we
Rams.
know. We know.
And what was your question, Joey?
What is your hopes for your
Okay.
future career? Like, do you
My
want to stay with high
hopes.
schooler students?
So I will say I do like the younger age. So I really like being with 9th graders. I could see myself doing middle school. And I am going to be honest, I don't see myself doing teaching forever. I want to get my master's in counseling. So eventually
Whoa.
doing something with
Dang.
helping people work through trauma and maybe doing addiction counseling. I'm just really passionate about helping people, so want to develop that as well.
Nice.
So you think you'll teach for a while? Like a dream, obviously it probably won't go according to plan, but
Right.
teach for a while, then go back to school, and then go into counseling.
Agreed, yes. So that's the dream, that's the vibe. We'll see where it goes. Yeah,
Nice.
one day at a time.
That's pretty cool. And I know we mentioned it, but we got to talk about you being a skater boy now.
A skater boy. All right.
And that you broke your nose.
Yeah.
So-
Tell us the story of how you broke your nose.
Yes. Well, and first I'll give a little context as to why I got into
Yeah.
skateboarding. And I,
Post high school
yes.
crisis.
Yeah.
Yes, 100% post high school crisis. So, freshman year of college, I won't go into it, but I had a traumatic event occur, which really put me into a spiral of an eating disorder, and I was just doing a lot of over exercise and lost a ton of weight, and it was very unhealthy. I ended up going to treatment and finished treatment actually basically a year ago from like February, I think it was around when I ended. And I got to this point where I was like, dang, I really miss moving, but I don't want to get in an unhealthy mind space about this anymore because it's too detrimental to my mental health. So I ended up watching this documentary called Minding the Gap. Highly recommend it. It's not about the British trolley system. It's about skateboarding.
What?
I was going to ask.
What?
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, and that was what really made me say, okay, skateboarding, I'm gonna do this. And so I started out literally just in parking lots and looking really stupid. Eventually started going to skate parks, and about a month and a half into skateboarding, I had an accident where I was going down a ramp, and if you're a skateboarder, you know that sometimes you get speed wobbles, which is where your board just starts wobbling due to speed. And
Really?
I couldn't have guessed that one.
and the point is I ended up falling, and I will say not to blame Chris because he's an amazing guy,
But it was Chris's fault.
but he loosened my trucks way too much.
What?
And I'll just explain this. So on a skateboard, there are these metal things called trucks that hold your wheels. And sometimes people like them super tight. Sometimes people like them super loose. Chris likes them loose. And anyways, he loosened them to the point where I think it actually increased my fall. Like, shout out Chris, you're great. But that I even told him, like, he loosened them too much. So I ended up falling, and I didn't just fall. I ended up whamming my head on this metal
hammy.
box, a mani pad, which is basically just a box. Yeah, just picture like a metal box. And anyway, whammed my head, and I thought I was fine because I didn't feel anything. And I look up, and my friend, his nickname is K2. And I look up and K2's just like, whoa. He's like, what happened? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I just fell. And he was like, we need to do something. Like, you're bleeding all over. He was like, your face is wide open. So then my friend Ezra, he was like, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And he was like, I'm going to call an ambulance. And he calls the ambulance, but before they get there, I was just like bleeding out. So Chris, he like takes off his shirt, and I like
In slow motion.
that sounds weird, but
I'll save you.
he took it off to like for the blood flow, and I was just sitting
for
there freaking out, kind of out of it because, you know, I just whammed my head, and, you know, the ambulance gets there, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna be okay, like, I'm totally fine. And, you know, they take me off, and then my family was on a trip, so
Oh boy.
I ended
the
up
worst.
calling them and being like, hey guys, yeah, I broke my nose. And so they come home because they were just at the North Shore, and my dad like comes in the emergency room, and he's seeing me get my stitches, and he's like, oh honey, like, what happened? And I'm like, I'm fine, Dad, I'm fine, like, don't worry about it. And yeah, he really didn't want me to start skateboarding again. He was like, find something else. And I was like, no, Dad, no.
Wow.
This is my
So-
calling.
Yeah. And that's my injury. That's a long story, but that's how I broke my nose, and now I have a gnarly scar. So, yeah.
Do you have a video or pictures of this event?
I do. Actually, I have a video because Chris was filming. So,
Oh my goodness. You have
need to
like
see this.
a video of the whole thing happening.
well, not of me falling, but of sort of the aftermath.
Oh,
And
okay.
if you'll see in the video, Louis, this dude he's holding my hand at one point. So that's
Ooh.
in there too. So
Wow, this
it's dramatic. All the
Yeah.
things, you guys.
she's like
So,
straight out of a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You have a little bit of a Nightingale effect there, or
No, we were talking about this. So anyway, they are not gonna listen to this, and if they do, like, shout out, guys. I'm sorry that I'm exposing y'all, but anyway, Louis. So he pretty much developed a crush on me like immediately when I started coming to the park. There's this one time where I was at the park all alone, and he pulled up in his car, and he was blasting like "Isn't She Lovely" by Stevie Wonder or whatever.
Wow.
And he was
Unlimited Riz.
That's
right there.
Riz.
That's
yeah.
Riz.
And he would talk to me, and he'd be like, you know, like, I've never had like a spiritual connection with a girl like you before. And I was just kind of like, whatever. But, you know, I'm not going to lie. When he like held my hand when I was like bleeding, I was kind of like, dang. But then the feelings went away. But I was just like, for a moment there, I was kind of like, oh man, like, this is kind of cute. But then I realized, nah, like, this
My
is,
nose is messed up.
that's not for B Dog.
yeah, that's not for me. But anyway, shout out Louis. We're still friends, and it's a vibe. We would have super long conversations just like about God, and I would pray for him, and so
Yeah.
it's really cool. Like, being able to talk about Jesus in a skate park setting. And I was talking about Ezra before, but just because we're on the tone of Jesus, I remember
I knew we'd get here
first-
eventually.
Might not be the Holy Spirit. That's the tone of Jesus.
the first time that I came to the skate park front, I remember Ezra, he didn't even know me, but he came up to me and he was like, "Are you a Christian?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm a Christian." And he was kind of took the rest of the night to sort of, you know, kind of make fun of me. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever, just because I was a Christian. But then like 2 weeks later, he gets a little bit under the influence. He has a couple beers, and then all of a sudden he's like talking to me about God, and he's like, Tessana, can you pray for me and all this stuff? And he's like, I'm sorry that I'm mean to you. And I'm like, yeah, I can pray for you, all this stuff. And that was kind of when we became friends, was after that. So anyway, if you're ever out around people who don't know Jesus, just talk about Jesus, and yeah, people will respond. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm going off on like tangents. This is how my brain works. So yeah.
Well, you do that a lot, right? Because I remember once we were out at a park at the high school group, and there was a police car sitting over there, and you're like, I want to go talk to that cop about Jesus.
Bro, yep.
That was
Can you
wild.
talk about?
I remember telling you not to do that.
Oh yeah, I actually remember this story very well, because I remember I was like, yeah, I want to talk to this cop about Jesus, and Joey was like, no, Tessana, like, no, don't do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Wow, Joey.
Don't do it. It's just because it's a cop on ours. I don't know.
And
There's not a
honestly,
bad time to talk about Jesus,
like,
but
looking back,
If there was.
I totally see Joey's point, but this was how many years ago? 3 years ago now?
Just 3 years ago.
I was at the point in my life where I just wanted to talk to everyone about Jesus, and I still do. I'm just more measured about it and more mature and refined. But anyway, I go up to the cop, and I was like, like, Jesus loves you and all this stuff, and he was like, oh yeah, like, I go to Eaglebrook, like, yeah.
there we go.
So shout out Eaglebrook. I don't go there, but I know a lot of people who do, so shout out.
All three of us.
Oh, wow. That's true. So speaking of churches, Tessana, where do you go to church?
I go to City View. Shout out City View in Minneapolis, and shout out to my wonderful pastor, Walt. He's so cool.
Disney?
And
Disney?
no, Walt, man, I don't remember his last name, but I will say that I did not realize this, but when I started going to the church, he actually has a history of knowing my dad, because they were both in the AG together. That's my denomination, by the way, the Assemblies of God. And he went up to me one day, and he was like, I think I know your dad. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, yeah, Craig Krueger. He was like, yeah, he's really inspired my prayer life. He's one of my heroes. And I was like, what? So anyway, my pastor loves my dad, so that checks out. That's good. I ended up leaving my home church. Well, not City View's my home church now, but the church that I grew up going to my entire life, because it's my dad's church, and I just needed to branch out. I was like, I love you, Dad, but at the same time, it's time that a girl becomes a woman. So
Spread my wings and fly.
spread my wings. So anyway, shout out City View. Love it there.
Where is City View?
It's in Minneapolis, about 10 minutes away from NCU.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's in a cute little area. Sometimes there's crackheads. Like, there's this one time my friend and I were walking, and this guy just started yelling in the street, and we were like, yeah, Minneapolis, woohoo. So anyway,
Nice.
love it.
Minneapolis vibes.
Yeah, you gotta love it. But okay, so I'm bouncing around like crazy at this point. But
Bounce.
right at NCU, you have to go to chapel every day, right? Oh, wait, I thought you liked Jesus. You
I
can't
love Jesus.
not like.
I love him.
I'm just
Love
kidding.
Jesus. I will say, so the amount of times that you have to go to chapel decreases the older you get, the more credits that you earn.
Oh, okay.
So now I do not have to go to chapel nearly as much as I did in my like freshman, sophomore year. Mm-hmm. But I will say that I do have an issue with the way NCU does chapel, and I'm not afraid of saying this. There's a type of worship where it is very emotional, but it is not so much founded on scripture. And I will often see that there's a lot of emotionalism and manipulation of like people's emotions through music, and like pressuring people to raise their hands and pressuring people to get healed and do all these things, which I don't really agree with. There are some times where a speaker will come in and I'll really enjoy it, and I think it's good, but I think many times a speaker will come in and they do not actually have theology that is rooted in scripture. It's more so like based in, I don't know if you guys have heard of like Word of Faith, but has a lot to do with healing and like if you have enough faith, then you'll get healed. And if you do this, then you'll have all this stuff. And it's just, man, it's a thing that happens with Pentecostalism. Every denomination has a stumbling block. And I would say Pentecostals, our stumbling block is becoming what my dad would call hyper spiritual, which is essentially saying we have as much or more power than God. So love Jesus and love so much about NCU, but chapel is a point of contention for me.
Wow. Honestly, that is not where I thought you would go with that, but that's interesting to hear. And that's cool because like you grew up in a Pentecostal church, so some of that stuff you were pretty familiar with. 100%. But it's interesting. So you think that some of the stuff at NCU's probably gone like a little too far in that one direction.
Yes. And I would say a little bit of poison is going to affect every aspect of a fellowship. So if you have good people within the fellowship that are doing good work, that's great. But at the same time, there's still that poison. And I will say that healthy churches are very hard to find, especially within our cultural context with all of these things that are changing with progressive Christianity. And I am so thankful that I grew up in a healthy Pentecostal church where we abided by scripture, where if someone were to ever say a prophecy up at the front, there's an interpreter, there's somebody there that is held accountable to it. And I think many Pentecostal churches just don't have that health. They are like, we want to move by the Spirit, which causes chaos in many circumstances. So I could talk about this for a while, but that's what I'll say about that.
Nice. So then maybe on the other side of it, what are some things at NCU that you have enjoyed so far?
So what I love about NCU is that we have such a beautiful sense of community. Immediately since my freshman year, you're just welcomed in and accepted as you are. And there's just a love for people that NCU has and a love for seeing people grow in their faith. And I will also say that I do not think I would have stayed at NCU if it weren't for the community. And my professors also have just been everything to me. Like, I have gone through a lot of mental problems throughout my college career, but my professors have always been there to listen to me, and I've cried in many of my professors' offices and been just like, I don't know if I can be a teacher. I don't know if I can do this. And they've championed me. And I will say that if you're thinking about going to NCU, you're going to have a really great experience with your professors and with the student body. So it's a great place. Don't get me wrong.
Isn't Mr. Scuddinga
Dr. Scuddinga, yes.
a teacher there?
Actually, I'm going to be in one of his classes next semester. So shout out.
Ooh.
Love him. He's
Nice.
a wonderful man.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And like, I don't even know, what did you do for like living situation over your, like, were you in dorms and stuff?
Yes. So my freshman year and part of my sophomore year, I lived in the dorms. And the reason I left is just due to like trauma, things that I needed to heal from. But I will say living in the dorms at NCU is so much fun, and I would recommend it to especially a freshman going in. Like, having that experience, it's so important, and it helps you learn how to live with people, how to deal with boundaries, like setting boundaries with your roommates. Like, I will say, I had a tough experience with a roommate. She was a wonderful person, but man, we were different. So
Same.
anyway, yeah, I would recommend it. And now I'm living at home and I'm saving a lot of money. So
Yes.
yeah.
That's facts. Because how far is your house from NCU?
It's 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, super close.
Easy.
So that's not bad
Easy
at all.
money.
Nice.
No.
You should give a quick rundown on your family, because you have,
Oh, man.
your family's wild.
Whew.
Big family.
So let's start at the very beginning, because
A very good place to start.
yeah, a very good place to start. I have 9 siblings, and I will explain this in the most efficient way that I can. My father had 8 children, including myself, with my mom, And then my mom passed away when I was 9. And then about maybe 5 or 6 years later, my dad got remarried to my stepmom, Kathy, and she adopted 2 children from Guatemala. She'd never been married before, but she felt called to adopt. So anyway, starting at the top, my oldest brother is named Ian, and then there's Ava, then there's Nicole, then there's me, then there's Eric, then there's Janae, then there's Christine, then there's Zach, then there's Sophia, and then there's Tasha. Love them. Beautiful people. Shout out my siblings. I wouldn't be who I am without y'all. So
How many of them are like still like in the area and stuff like that?
So we all live in Minnesota,
Okay, nice.
but 4 of my siblings live in a community house with a bunch of other people, and they really enjoy that. But other than that, the rest of us are at home. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
And we were in high school with Nicole for 1 year.
Yes.
She was a senior and we were freshmen.
She's such a character.
She is something.
She is a character.
What is she doing right now?
So, long story short, my sister was in ROTC because she wanted to be a fighter pilot,
Oh, I forgot about
Right.
that.
Yes.
That's so cool.
but she was actually diagnosed with autism and ADHD, and she really, with her needs, it was just like not ideal for her to be in the military. So now she's graduated from the U of M with a degree in earth science.
Oh, cool.
And she's so smart. For anybody who knows Nicole,
Yeah, she's
a genius. And it's, if you talk to her, she'll be like, no, I'm not. She's a genius, guys.
Yeah.
She's a genius.
She's super smart.
So anyway, basically probably the smartest person I know, not going to lie. And
Wow.
I love her. She graduated, and I think she's planning to get her master's in creative writing because she's basically a novelist. She's written so many stories, and honestly, I think she's the next Tolkien, next C.S. Lewis. Let's see it happen.
I'll be watching out for her.
Watch out, guys. Watch out, world.
We'll have to keep an eye on our shelves for her books.
And then we were obviously with you for 4 years, and then we were in high school for 2 years with Eric.
Yes.
Who I absolutely love.
Beautiful
Eric.
man.
Beautiful
man.
He's such a vibe.
Love him.
He's so good.
Yeah.
And then I think that was it.
Yeah.
Because Janae didn't come to high school till, and Sophia didn't come till after.
Yeah. But
I know
they're
Janae.
all great.
Because Janae's in Jake's class, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they came the year after we left.
Yep.
Right? Does that matter?
But
right?
I was, so like I said, I was at a Vail yesterday and I was helping out the short film IBU, and Sophia's in that.
Yeah.
And she reminds, she is literally just you, just like a younger version. Like, it was so funny.
Oh my
I was like, the way she talks and moves is, it just expresses her words is just so you. And I thought that was just really funny.
I love myself.
Have you seen her stand up in class, in the middle of class, and just admit her feelings for somebody?
Oh, we can't. Mitch.
Woo! Exposing me. Okay. We need some context for that.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
You're right.
No, we don't.
We already talked about this on a previous podcast, so
Did we actually?
I don't know. Remember?
Probably
did
have.
we?
I don't
Maybe
think
we did and then cut it out.
I don't think we did. and I don't think we should.
We shall not name the person.
Yes.
Well,
We know who the person is.
what Mitch is referencing.
Talks about it anyway.
I'll just say so they have the context. I won't say who, but I was having a manic episode, so I was not in my right mind, and I went up to somebody in our class and I said,
You didn't go
like-
up to them. You were across the room from
I
them.
was okay across the room. I told this person that I liked them. And then I was sent home because they realized I was mentally unstable. Yay. I
What a
love
wild day.
bipolar. It's great.
Mitch, I can't believe you brought that up.
Well, he had to,
I had to.
right?
That was a wild
is
day.
That is an iconic moment
Top.
involving Tessana.
Yeah.
Classic.
I have some. So I found our high school quote board,
Oh no. Oh,
and I
no.
just have a few quotes from Tessana to read off.
Oh
here.
boy.
This is from our junior year. There's a few quotes. They're mixed in with all the other people,
Oh,
so I
shoot.
gotta
Oh, shoot.
sort through them here.
I'm nervous.
Alec has got some bombs in here.
Oh, Alec has nukes.
Yeah. Tessana said to me, "You should voice Larry the Cucumber."
You should though, right?
Never thought about it. Maybe I should.
You should.
She said that, and then the next one, also to me, "I just got flashed from your rock hard abs."
Broski.
Oh my goodness.
I don't remember. I think like I was reaching for something,
Yeah.
or
Taking off a sweatshirt.
taking off. I think
Taking
it
off
might,
your
I think it was taking
sweatshirt.
off my sweatshirt during advisory, and like when your shirt comes up a little bit, when you
Yeah.
take off your sweatshirt.
Yeah.
And then you said that.
Well, you know why I said that? It's
Oh,
because I
boy.
didn't want to be awkward because when
Yeah,
you're
that's true.
looking at somebody, but you don't really mean to look, but you see it. So I kind of was
Yeah.
like, oh, let's make a joke,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That's funny.
That's a wild one.
And then senior year, let's see. I'm laughing because I feel like a journalist. I don't remember the context for that one.
Context.
I do not remember. Should have wrote that in here. I know there's more. Where is it?
There's more.
There's got to be some
Where is it?
singers.
There's gotta
Senior
be more.
Tessana was whack.
Oh, yeah.
so.
This is you talking about a hamster.
Oh boy.
Sometimes I think the hamster, died because God thought he needed to go.
Oh my gosh, broski. Oh. Predestination question mark?
About a hamster.
Oh my gosh.
Dang.
Next one. Gotta find it.
Maybe animals are predestined and humans have free will.
Maybe.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's deep.
Here's another one you said. The baguettes have gathered.
The baguettes have gathered.
Don't know what the context of that one was, but
Love me some baguette.
that is all I got.
If I saw
Dang.
some baguettes
you.
gathering, I'd be intimidated.
I got
Yeah.
a lot of quotes, but that was all you got in there.
Well, I'm glad I made the cut.
Oh yeah.
Honored.
Yeah. You sure did.
Yeah.
So, high school is a wild time. We had some wild
Super
quotes.
wild. Yeah, totally crazy.
So
Why did you say it like that?
yeah,
I don't
felt
know.
like that.
Yeah.
He's got this like surfer skater talk now.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I've just
Any new like
developed
vocab
it.
words we can learn?
Yeah.
Oh,
What's some? Give us some
alright.
skater slang.
Some skater slang. So
Tier list.
I think everybody knows gnarly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then another word for gnarly, just a synonym, would be steezy.
Oh.
Okay, DJ
Wow.
Steez.
DJ Steez.
Yeah, like if you see somebody do something cool, you're like, ooh, that's steezy. And then if you're ever doing a trick and you make it, but you almost don't make it, you'll be like, oh, that was sketchy. That was sketchy.
Yep. I heard
Okay.
that one
Okay.
before.
And let me think. There's just a lot of like skater terms that are used like if you decide not to go through with a trick, you'll be like, oh, I bailed. Like I bailed. Why'd I bail?
bailed.
Oh, and like a lot of times people will say this whenever someone is like learning how to drop in or dropping in on something higher than they've ever been at. I guess I should explain dropping in. It's basically if you understand, like if you've ever seen like a ramp before, there's a coping, a metal coping, and then you're putting your back wheels over that coping, and then you're slamming your foot
Oh yeah.
on
yeah.
the front
Yeah.
of the board
Yeah.
and going past it. So a lot of times people will say when someone's doing that, like, just commit. It's like a huge thing. Like someone's like, I'm scared, and you're like, just commit. So
Send
that's
it.
a
Send
skater
it.
Yeah. You
term.
just gotta send it.
So half these sound like terms that people use all the time, just in a skater
Yeah.
voice.
Does anyone ever drop like a rad in there?
I have heard some rads. I've heard some rads.
Good.
There's a lot of terms out there. It's hard, like, off the top of my head. But there's also a lot of trick names.
Like Pop and Ollie?
Yeah, like ollie, nollie, like those. And then, like, oftentimes I'll be listening to tricks that people are saying, like, yeah, I want to do, like a front side switch kickflip. And you're like, okay, like, it's explaining all these different terms at once. And the better people get, the more the trick terminology just goes on and on and on and on. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of terms, guys. And I'm learning all the lingo because I've only
Yeah.
been skating for like 8 months, but it's so fun. Love it.
I want to see you in like 5 years in the X Games.
I would.
Just going crazy.
I definitely won't be in X Games, but I will say that I do plan to skateboard for the rest of my life.
Wow.
Yes, it is
That's
a
a
huge part of
commitment.
me.
Yeah, that's a commitment.
Yeah, that's a commitment. So,
It's gnarly.
What do you like about it? What do you like about skateboarding?
along with my many mental things going on, deal with a lot of anxiety and depression. So what I really appreciate about skateboarding is its ability to just give me this instant sense of happiness. And also just the reward system is so much greater than any other activity that is more physical, like because you are able to see yourself get better. Like once you land a trick, the reward that you get from that is insane. And I will also say the skating community is just so beautiful, and I've never felt so accepted in my life. Like I love church and I love Jesus, and Christians are amazing, but I will say that like the skater community has something so special where you're just loved for who you are, and it's beautiful. So yeah, that's why I love skateboarding. So.
Awesome.
Makes sense.
That's pretty cool.
I'm something of a longboarder myself.
Ooh, longboarding. Okay. That's like
Mike,
the
we should just pull
foot
up.
in the door.
Yeah,
Pull up with a longboard.
Pull up. Honestly, like people love to teach people that are learning things.
I'm going to pull up and drop in.
Drop in. Honestly,
gonna
I'm
be
just gonna
pull up
commit.
at
It's going to be
third.
gnarly.
You guys sound like dads, just like using the new
Trying to
terms.
use the lingo.
Yeah.
That's my goal. That's
Yep.
my goal.
They're like skitty bop toilet ?
Facts, bro. That's
Skibbity
Gen
toilet.
Alpha.
think about that every day.
I think about that all the time. Anyway.
Is there
It's
anything
like
else?
the Roman Empire.
Anything else we want to ask her, or is it about time we
I think it's about time.
wrap this up like the doctor
Doctors,
wrapped
yeah.
up Tessana's nose?
Yep.
Just like, yeah. Actually, it wasn't really wrapped up. It was like kind of stitched up.
Don't tell him that.
Yeah.
That ruins the joke.
sorry.
It's time we stitch up this podcast like the doctor stitched up Tessana's nose.
You sound like you're trying to set something up, like it was stitched up.
What?
You've never heard that? All right.
We don't
right.
understand your Gen
Sorry,
Z
it's just-
lingo. We get you're cooler and more hip than us and more rad.
Play
we get
Fortnite.
It. We get it. Go back to destroying 12-year-olds in Fortnite, okay, bitch? No one asked.
All right.
Who?
Who?
Asked.
All right. Tessana, we're going to ask you to sign
Okay.
us off, and then we'll sign off after you. So you get to say, like, thanks for listening to the 245 podcast. You can say whatever you
Okay.
want. You just,
If you kind of know how Josh does his, outro,
I
kind of
she's
follow that.
never listened to the podcast.
I've listened to a couple episodes,
couple.
but it's not fresh in my brain. But I'm just gonna sign us up. Okay.
You do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Whatever the
Okay,
spirit leads you to
bros.
do.
Yeah.
All right, dudes, bros, pals. This is the end of this episode of the 245 podcast. We hope to see you next week. Tune in. Love y'all. God bless.
Catch you on the flippity flip.
Catch you on the
See you in the-
flippity flip.
See you the next round.
Peace out, gangs.